started asking us was like how to create a sustainable organization. And capitalism, like government systems are controversial subjects, but like I think you actually like Timur's answer to what a sustainable organization is. So maybe Timur can unpack what his answer is, and then you can comment on why you like that answer so much.
Do you remember?
It's been a minute.
You didn't play your video over and over again?
I think my answer was that when it comes to sustainable organizations, but it actually applies to a lot of like, how do you run a family? How do you run a company? I think it comes down to one sec.
It's all good. It's coming.
I think I said process design.
Processes.
System design and the culture.
And culture, yeah.
So it comes down to system design and culture. I think the system design comes in because you need to have a plan. You also need to set up boundaries. You need to understand how the whole system works together. But then it comes down to culture, because culture is actually the people and how those people interact and how they execute on the vision. So to keep my answer short, it's those two things, and you can apply it to anything that you're doing, even running this podcast.
Yeah. And so, you talked about, why you like that, how you're applying those principles today. And, we're so proud of you, because like you're not just in your goal, but you're also doing your own thing. So talk about that.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Organize is, we're a media and software company. Mm-hmm. Focused on helping activists be more effective. So we're building tools. We have one app that we're working on right now, and a list of other apps that we want to create and launch. And but right now our primary focus is on creating digital media and content, because we realize that social media is actually the best and easiest way to touch people. And it's actually a great tool for educating people. And so the goal is to be able to connect or to develop a community of activists through social media, and then educate them through content that we push out. The content is on everything from like digital security, how do you protect yourself, to like efficiency, how do you build an efficient organization, how do you maximize resources and time, to like documentation, like how do you and research, how do you conduct research, and then how do you use that research to inform the causes or the legislation or the campaigns that you're trying to push. There's so much that we want to teach people, and we're just really excited to build this company. And actually, it's not a nonprofit, it's a company. And it, we very intentionally made it a company. And if you go to the website, it will explain why we did that.
And I think it's reaching people where they are is key. And part of the reason why social media is important, we're not just recording audio and using social media, but we're recording video, is a big deal, because 8 Heroes, who's helping us with video, recognizes the power of short form video to teach, which is why Sydney and Nana, who actually contributed to your campaign as well, are here. So it's like a surreal moment, bringing it all full circle. So I think that's a perfect segue into the lightning round.
Yeah, so as a listener of the podcast, you know what's coming up next. So this is the portion where Artur, Ruben, and I will ask you questions. And you've already shared a lot of strategies, but these will be even deeper, more hands-on strategies that our listeners can use to follow in your steps. So Artur, take it away.
So we're sitting here in the Bay Area about 18 months after you made that initial plan to break into tech. And it's pretty amazing to see how far you've come. But if you're giving advice to your younger self or earlier self when you were just making that plan, what advice would you give yourself? And what kind of a few words of motivation would you share with earlier Iris?
I think that I would have told myself, I would tell myself that things are good. There are going to be rough moments. I think that when I started out, I thought that if I just created a plan and just followed the plan, that everything would would work smoothly. And I'm someone who doesn't like it when things don't go my way.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not good at dealing with that. So, you know, I think I would tell myself, like, your plan may not happen exactly the way that you envisioned it, and to just be open to that. And sometimes a change, it may seem like a bad thing, but it may actually end up being a good thing or put you in a better place than where you were previously.
Yeah, trust your struggle. And
Yeah.
something else you touched on, which I think every single one of them has experienced, is being separated from your partner. And being separated from your partner for as long as you were, which is like 8 months, without like the best communication. I'm not sure how your communication was, but I think all of us have had bad communication, ended up in breakups. Like, how do you communicate properly to make sure the other partner feels loved while you're making a sacrifice, even if it's a platonic relationship? Like, how do you communicate properly to keep that relationship healthy?
Yeah, I think it's important to stay in touch and make sure that you talk every day, at least. Even if you don't talk on the phone, you know, at least make sure that you send some sort of communication throughout the day, check in, make sure that your partner knows what's going on, you know, make sure that they're up to date on what you're experiencing, so that they don't feel like they're left out, or they don't feel like you're keeping them out, you know? And I think trusting and believing that you have to believe that your partner being away from you is a good thing. Like, my partner and I were actually looking forward to being apart because we both had things that we wanted to invest our time in. And when you have a partner that's there with you every day, it's really hard to, it's harder to focus, right? Even if you start out wanting to focus, I mean, you know, your partner could just walk into the room and then all of a sudden you're just distracted, right? So, you know, we were actually excited because we were like, you know what, this is going to be a good time to be able to just dig in and like fully focus on ourselves and fully have that time for ourselves. And I think it was really important. Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. You talked a little bit about mindset. Do you listen to music as well to like keep you motivated? I know you talked about podcasts. Or do you watch anything to keep you motivated? I know you talked about videos in the classroom.
You know what? I need to start listening to motivational videos again. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, what is it that got me through, you know, some of the rough moments when I was planning to make the transition? And watching motivational videos was helpful. So I need to do that again. In terms of music, I love music. I listen to a lot of different types of music, particularly R&B, and I love electronic music actually.
Wow.
So I'm a big fan of groups like Disclosure, and Subtract. And some other people whose names I'm forgetting. I'm drawing a blank. But and then in terms of TV shows, man, TV is my guilty pleasure. I love The Bachelorette.
Wow. I think we're gonna get some guilty shout outs.
I don't watch The Bachelor because I could care less, but I do watch The Bachelorette. And actually, you know, going back to me and my partner, when the last season not this season that just happened, but the one with Rachel, which was last year, I was here for my boot camp. And so my partner and I, this is another thing, you still have to go on dates. So we would still have a specific day of the week where we would hang out, and like, you know, he would put the show on his computer, I would put it on my computer, and we would watch it together.
That's very dope.
You didn't use Zoom?
Huh?
You guys didn't use Zoom?
We didn't use Zoom. No Zoom I didn't know that Zoom existed back then, but now I know.
Because now you can share a screen. One of you plays and you just share a screen.
So that's the secret to keeping your relationship together while you were away.
Yeah,
Video
you gotta have dates.
Watch The
for
Bachelor.
Sure. And
The Bachelor saved your relationship.
The Bachelorette
saved your relationship.
Awesome.
So I also know that you have you stick to a pretty strict regimen with your workouts and your daily routine. Can you know we ask this question a lot, but can you share with the people what do you do on a daily basis and where do you find that discipline?
Yeah, so discipline is something that I can be really, really, really good at sometimes, and then really, really, really bad at sometimes. So I'm not going to lie and say that I'm like always disciplined all the time, because that's not true.
Cheat meals.
Yeah. We saw some of those.
We're
on
all
camera.
about that.
Oh man.
Gotta have breaks.
Yeah.
But I think the number one important thing with discipline is to always get back on the horse. Even if you fall off, always get back on. Don't beat yourself up about the fact that you fell off.
Yeah.
Just get back on and just move forward.
Yeah.
So my schedule right now, which is similar to the schedule that I had when I was a teacher, is I wake up in the morning, I go to work, I go to the gym right after work. It's easier to just go. I'm already in work mode, so going to the gym right after is just works. I've tried to do the gym in the morning, late at night. It doesn't work. So I always go right after work. I get home, and then usually the moment that I get home, actually sometimes before I eat and before I shower, I start working on things that I need to do. Like if it's for organize, I'll like have, say like spend an hour doing XYZ, and I'll just get it out the way, because once I get in that shower, bruh, that's it.
Love it.
I'm done for the night. So I usually leave like my dinner and shower for like the very end of the night. I will say that when I was in my boot camp, I tried to maintain a exercise regimen.
Yeah.
But it took up too much of my time.
Yeah.
And so I actually cut out the work within like 2 weeks. Once I started the on-campus portion.
Yeah.
After the first week, I like cut it out.
It's hard. Yeah. No, we're still trying to find our rhythm. Now that we started this new company, I think something else to bring up too is just like your environment. I know not only are you working out of the Oakland office, but you actually live in Oakland, right?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to live in Oakland versus San Francisco?
Oh man,
it's important.
It's cheaper, first of all, and I would, even if the office was in San Francisco, I would have still lived here.
Yeah,
it's cheaper and it's cleaner and it's more diverse. And honestly, I think the diversity part is a big thing for me. When I lived in San Francisco, and I went to Trader Joe's, I was like the only black person in the Trader Joe's. And it was like, look, if I can't go to the supermarket and see different colors of people, like, why do I live here?
Yeah. And I mean, there's history in Oakland too, like the Black Panthers, Angela Davis, like all these other people that are from here that people don't know about. If you don't know about it, look it up.
Yeah. And something we didn't cover, which I think is worth mentioning, is like, so you're an engineer now, and your whole journey was to become an engineer. So now that you're here, what is it like working for a tech company?
Yeah. So I love my job. I absolutely love my job. And I think that one of the things that I love about it is the fact that it is challenging. But it's not challenging in a way where I feel like, oh, I can only do this for a few years and then I can't, I feel like that's how teaching was. Teaching was great. I loved that too.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it was like, after a certain amount of time, I don't know if my spirit can continue.
Yeah.
This is a job where I see it as like the perfect amount of challenge that I can feel fulfilled and sustained for a long time. I don't know if I'll do this for the rest of my life, but I can see myself doing it for a significant amount of time. I would say in terms of my daily work, I wake up in the morning, I read my Slack messages, I have a stand up with my team. I'm a remote engineer, so the majority of my team is actually in Atlanta.
Shout out to ATL.
So we have a lot of video calls. And so, we'll have a Slack meeting we'll have a video meeting where we all just kind of go over what we're working on, if we're stuck on anything, things like that. Then usually I'll get started on the work that I have. And, we split up our work into tickets. So, we have an idea of what needs to be accomplished by the end of a sprint. A sprint is just a period of time for you to get stuff done. So you do sprint planning at the beginning, and then at the end, you review the sprint, and then you plan for the next sprint, right? So based on what's supposed to be done by the end of the sprint, all these tickets are created. And then you basically go into Jira, which is the app that we use to manage our tickets, and you assign yourself tickets.
Yeah.
And, you know, if in the process of working on one ticket, you find something that needs to be done, you go and you create a new ticket, and someone else can pick it up. You might pick it up. You know, you never know. But I think in terms of what these tickets actually entail, it could be a mix of things. It could be just fixing a bug, which could require literally one line of code, or, you know, just a few letters of code. You may have to do an investigation. So you may have to go and figure out, okay, what's going on? Why isn't this piece of code working? And you have to track down all the different files that are related to it. So it takes a good amount of problem solving. You may have to go and find specific people and ask them questions about why they made certain decisions, so you can understand why it is the way that it is. And then some tickets might involve not fixing a bug or anything like that, but creating something new. And even when you're creating something new, you still have to problem solve. So it's really cool, because it's like you're literally solving puzzles all day.
I mean, how is that similar to when you're just starting out and taking tutorials on your own? Are there any similarities?
There are similarities in a sense where it's like, you know, if you're taking a tutorial and the tutorial gives you like a little problem, you know, and you have to solve that problem, it's similar. It's just that those problems are usually in a vacuum. The problems that you're solving at work are related to a real live project, a real live users, feature with users and things like that.
I was just going to say that, like, and I think what's interesting too is just like, you know, historically in life, when people pursue careers, they like pursue a job that's going to give them a long period of time, and then it ends in retirement. But I think people are working longer, recognizing that lifelong learning is super important, and that the solution to a problem inevitably creates more problems, and there's always change, and you just got to get comfortable with that and recognize that it never ends. And so like and then just get excited about like what you do, and that you're going to do that forever.
Literally, that's literally exactly how exactly what being a software engineer is. It's knowing that your path of learning never ends, and that the amount of information that there is to learn is infinite. So you can never be comfortable. You can never be okay with where you are. There's always something new to learn, and there's always going to be a new problem. You're going to use your previous experience and knowledge to help guide you, but you're not going to just like know the answer to everything. You could be a principal engineer with 15 years experience. We have a principal engineer in the office the other day, and I was telling him that I've been like having a bit of imposter syndrome lately. And he was like, look, I've been doing this for 15 years. And every time I get a new project, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fail. Everyone's going to know that I'm like, you know, I shouldn't have this job. And so he was like, that feeling never goes away. But the good thing is that what that also means on the flip side is that you're constantly feeling a sense of triumph.
And challenging yourself. And I guess my last question is like, kind of, can you talk a little bit about the culture and the team, like inside tech companies specifically? Because I remember when I went from being in a corporate world where everything was very hierarchical to tech, I was kind of impressed by the level of teamwork and just the laid back culture where you have so much autonomy. Kind of, can you share your experience of being in tech, and how does that compare to other jobs you've had before?
So it's hard for me to speak for the entire tech industry. I can only speak for Mailchimp, and I know that my experience at Mailchimp is different from what I've heard of other people having. I've heard other people who have to clock in at a certain time, or they don't have to clock in, but their manager is like expecting them to be at their desk at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever, and they can't leave until a certain time. At my job, it's not like that. It's very flexible. There's no set time that you have to be in or out. You have certain meetings that you have to attend. But other than that, if you want to work from 10 to 8, that's fine. If you want to work from 7 a.m. to like 3 or 4 p.m., that's fine, as long as you do your 40 hours a week, which I think is really great and not as restricting as it was when I was a teacher.
I was just gonna say, like, I think to your point about like not speaking for the entire tech industry, like you have a flexible environment. Some things are more rigid, some things are structured, some things are unstructured, and a lot of times, you have to come into the tech world recognizing that the world is changing all the time, and tech is moving very quickly, and like what's status quo is today may not be status quo tomorrow, and you got to be comfortable that what you're doing today or what your job title says today may not be what you're doing tomorrow, and you're going to be wearing many hats, and so that can be alarming for a lot of people, but that's where things are going to ultimately going to be going, and get ready. So
yeah. So before we wrap up, one last question. So we've covered a lot of topics. One topic that I'd love to get your opinion on is what do you think of people who want to do part-time boot camps? I know you personally haven't done it, but we have people now who can't afford, or just because of their family situation, they might be taking care of a sick parent, or there might be a single parent. They can't just move out to San Francisco or New York. For those who are interested in doing the career transition and they might have to do a coding bootcamp part-time, what advice do you have for them?
Do it. Do
Yeah.
it. Do it. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
just
You know,
do it.
your journey, instead of taking 1 year, it may take 2 or 3 years. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Trust
that's
your
fine.
struggle.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.